Okay, first of all, have to say sorry about yesterday. Sorry about the technical issues. And come to find out, it wasn't just me, it was a system wide thing with Google and streaming services and probably just the solar flares. I've always said that. My son laughs at me when he used to say, "Hey, Dad, the internet's kind of screwy." And I tell him it's the solar flares. Well, I believe that is actually the case now. So, whatever the case, sorry we were cut short and just kind of want to continue on with the discussion. Now, right now, I know people are not completely in the stream yet, and that's partly my fault because I have no rhyme or reason as to the timing and the scheduling. Doesn't make sense. I'm not doing any kind of pre-planned notifications or anything, so that's kind of my bad. But I'm trying to get back in the habit of streaming regularly because sometimes it's a lot easier to think out loud with you when I have this kind of format, and it's a little bit more difficult to just think out loud while trying to make a video. So, you know, whatever. Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's talk shrimp, talk fish, talk filtration, talk aquariums, talk whatever you want to talk about. It's Friday. Um, Supposedly it's Friday the 13th, so ooh, creepy, scary stuff, but it's just another Friday to me. And it's going to be a kind of cool Friday, I hope, because it's Father's Day weekend. I remember the days of cooking out, grilling, or going fishing or hanging out, all that fun stuff. It's a little different now that most of my children, 2 out of 3, are fathers themselves. So it's more about them getting their Father's Day happiness versus mine. But that's okay. It's all good. So who's in here with me? Let's see if I can look it up. I'm going to go over here to the other side. Let's see live chat. If there's any participants. Nope, just me. And somebody else lurking, I'm pretty sure. Because I don't think it puts participants until you actually make a little comment or something. So I know there's other streams going on. I know people have their normal Friday activities. I know some people are getting off early and going and having fun. Hey, Gary, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Hey, at least I got one person in here. So let me ask you, I know maybe you didn't see yesterday's stream because I'm not really scheduling these right, but you've talked about how you wanted to adopt the filtration system that I use or method or whatever you want to call it. Have you done that and has it helped you any? Are you liking it or are you still just thinking about moving to it? And then second question, part 2, what about the shrimp that I gave you at Aquashella? How they doing? Are they starting to breed? You should have a bunch of buried shrimp by now, at least a few. It's been, what, 3 weeks, a month? When was it? It was May 18th. So it's been almost a month. I know it's this whole internet thing. It's hard because I'm on. Cool. Awesome. 0 deaths. You're lazy. No, I get it. I mean, especially if your tanks are already full of substrate. I mean, I have sometimes some of my tanks that I've done, it's like, I don't want to take out the substrate, but I want to use the filter boxes. So I just put the filter boxes in with the substrate. Other times I do slowly remove the substrate. It really depends because I don't know, honestly, what to do with all of my substrate sometimes. But I get it. You got sick after Aquashella? Me too. And I'm not sure. I don't know if I had the flu or what, but probably about a week after Aquashella, I started feeling that little lump in the back of your throat, and then it went to my head, and then it went back to starting in my chest, and then it really got into my lungs, and whew, so I'm still a little bit phlegmy now. Who gave it to us? I don't know. It was probably one of the saltwater people. Yeah, let's blame it on them because they're a little salty. But I did, and I went for probably 2 weeks or so where it was just, I felt horrible. I wasn't having fevers or anything, but it was very, very exhausting feeling. And then I passed it on to my son. And of course, it didn't take him as long to get through it because he's young and strong and virile and healthy. I'm a little bit older, so yeah, you know how that goes. Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for the Pleco. It is down there in that 20-gallon tank on the wall that you can't see behind here. Awesome. I had a good time with you out there at Aquashella. It's nice having a friendly, as I call them, when you're there doing those things, because sometimes it does get intimidating. So having you to go talk to and hang out with and trade some livestock, that's what I love about the community, man. And I'm still holding you to the possibility that I might get a few of the L471s someday. I don't blame you for keeping them closely guarded. It's just one of those things. I really like them, and I'd love to get some. And actually, then that's where I'd love to pick your brain, because out of all the plecos and everything, that is one of the ones that I would love to figure out how to keep and breed and share. I think they're beautiful little creatures. But that's just me. I'm weird that way. So yeah, it's Friday. It's just me and you right now. So talk about whatever. It doesn't matter. I just kind of wanted to redo my stream because yesterday I felt like such an idiot when everything started going bad, and then I couldn't get out of the stream. I couldn't log out. I couldn't get it to reconnect with StreamYard to be able to end the stream. And it wasn't until afterwards, and I had given them up. I had just pretty much given up. I left the stream running, and then I went back afterwards after telling everybody sorry. And I went in through the YouTube studio side and was able to end the stream, so that way it wasn't just running a blank screen. And lo and behold, yes, it has to do something. Who knows? The interweb, solar flares, whatever. I'm glad it's working today too. But yeah, so in reality, I wanted to do this stream. I wanted to kind of finish off yesterday's, but I think I want to do like a recurrent series with this title, Thrive or Survive. I know back in the day I did my Keeping It Shrimple stuff, and I still want to do Keeping It Shrimple. But I like this concept of Thrive or Survive because I think that's a big topic in the community. And I do think that a lot of times most hobbyists are trained or taught to get their tanks in a state where your fish, plants, shrimp, whatever it may be that you're keeping, survive. And that's what everybody wants. They want to be able, because there's so many on the other end that put tanks together and nothing survives. And so just getting your aquarium to a point where everything survives and everything looks pretty, that's great. But then taking it to the next level to get things to thrive, I think that takes a little bit more work. It takes a little bit more understanding of what's happening inside of the glass box with live animals. And we have control. We have the ability to either be complacent, or I'm not necessarily complacent, but just be satisfied that we got our aquarium. Its water's clear, the plants are growing, the fish and shrimp are eating and playing and just being themselves. But anybody who does any type of breeding or has babies, that is the really exciting part about aquarium keeping. When you start seeing that what you did made it enough to where they're happy inside that tank and they're surviving, but they're also breeding because they love where they're at. They feel comfortable, whatever it is, parameters, temperature, lighting, the aquascaping, whatever it may be. But then you're hitting a level to where things thrive. Part of the reason why it's a big topic for me is not only for my shrimp, but my clown killifish project that I've been doing for several years now. And it's gone through this. It's kind of like up and down, whether I'm keeping my killifish surviving and then thriving, and surviving and thriving. And right now, I believe my killifish are surviving. And I'm not doing a very good job of helping them thrive. Now, is it okay that they're surviving? Yes. But I can see that because of my lack of effort in maintaining my tanks like I used to and taking care of my killifish like I used to, the coloration isn't as vibrant. They just don't look like they're thriving. They look like they're surviving. So I have to do some work on those tanks, which I've already started doing. I'm already resetting my tanks. I'm changing out the water. I mean, the water looks great. Everything looks great, but they're not breeding. So to me, they're not really thriving. They're just surviving. So that's why I think this topic is really cool. And it goes with everything. It goes with your plants. It goes with your shrimp. It goes with your fish. It goes with the bacteria colony that you have inside your tank. And that's another key factor. Is it surviving or is it thriving? And that will determine basically the balance of your aquarium. Over time, if your good bacteria is thriving, then your tank is healthy. If it's just surviving, there's a reason why it's only surviving. So yeah, I think it's an integral part of understanding the difference between keeping aquariums that everything's surviving and keeping aquariums where everything is thriving. Yeah, yes, it is working today, Barbara. I'm sorry you were a victim of yesterday's technical difficulties, but I came to find out it wasn't just me. It was a whole Google, StreamYard, YouTube thing. SC Catahulas, what's up? What's up? All right, now we got people coming. Another stream must have just ended or something, or maybe people are on lunch. Maybe people got off work early. Who knows? I don't know. But thanks for joining. Thanks for giving me another chance. I felt horrible yesterday. And then Mexicali had to come on there and it was, like his usual streams. I'm like, dude, hey now, don't bag on me. But it's all in good fun. I don't take any of that stuff personally. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you. You just finished breakfast and got up late. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I'm glad you joined us. I try to have, fun doing this. And I don't know about any of y'all, but I've been that's why I'm not doing evening streams, especially for the past couple of months. I am a huge, huge, huge hockey fan. So once it started with the playoffs, especially since my Dallas Stars were in the playoffs, pretty much I figured they were going to go to the Stanley Cup. So, yeah, my evening times were all based around hockey. And at the very beginning, it was hockey every night. It didn't matter if it's the Stars or not. I'm watching hockey. I'm watching playoff hockey because it is the best form of competition that I know of. It just bar none. It's awesome. And so to have it every night at 7:30 or 6:30 and 9:30 every night until they start whittling down the teams, of course, and now it's just Edmonton versus Florida. So yeah, I base a lot of my evening activities on whether I'm watching hockey or not. So that's my excuse. Man, it's not an excuse. It's just a fact. That's why I haven't been doing much in the evenings. As far as daytime goes, I've been trying to put some videos together. I have so many unfinished video projects, and I have countless hours of video that I have not edited or put together in any shape, form, or fashion. And that's been something that I've done for years and years and years. I look back at some of my files where I have like Aquashella 2019, Aquashella 2020, Aquashella 2021, and I could see the progression of my cinematography abilities. I don't know what you want to call it, but like the first Aquashella, I got some good pictures. I got some decent video, but most of the times I was still trying to figure out how to operate my brand new T7i Rebel DSLR camera that had way too many things for me to even understand, but it took great video and great pictures. Then 2020, we didn't have Aquashella because of COVID. So 2021, wait, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was late 2020 when we did Florida, I believe, or maybe early 2021. But in that one, I was like all set. I had my what do you call it? Gizmo. What are they? Gyro. I know the word, I just can't think of it. But I had that, and it's funny because in my perspective, I'm like, oh, cool. I take a video, and then, I hit stop. And I go over to the next area, and I hit start, and I video, and then I hit stop, and I walk over to the next. Well, when I go back and look at the video, all you see is my phone doing like this and my feet and people's feet because I had it backwards. So every time I was videoing something, I put it on pause. And then when I thought I put it on pause, I was recording as I was walking around. So then there was that one. The next year, I think I only got a few pictures here and there. We were back in Dallas. I was judged for the first time at the shrimp contest. So my pictures are very spotty in between. I only had a little bit amount of time, but that's where that video intro that I have in the beginning comes from. So yes, lots of stuff that I'm trying to get and work on, but I did want to at least close out the topic of aquarium filtration, because eventually I'd like to do more thrive or survive topics on different things, whether it be lighting, lighting for plants, whether it is using CO2 injection for plants, whether it's having the right water for cichlids and all of that fun stuff, and a lot of it I need to learn from you. And that's what I love about this format is that, it's kind of like an open knowledge base of everybody's knowledge, expertise, and, experiments that we can throw together and see what we can do with it. It's so much fun. I've had a blast learning along with everybody. And I've also had a blast just doing things on my own, just because I don't want people to call me crazy, which a lot of the stuff that I did with these filter boxes, I pretty much felt like I was going out there on a limb, going out there doing something that was a little bit out of the box. But now that I've really done the research and seen it in action myself and watched other videos of master breeders and the way they do things and the partitions and the tags and etc., I'm feeling pretty confident that this is just a simplified version of doing the same thing. And that's all it boils down to. When it comes to shrimp, I'm not a big believer that we have to have, 5.5 pH and it has to be super, super low pH for the shrimp to thrive. Maybe that was the case 10 years ago. But more and more, I'm seeing that shrimp are being bred locally. And I'm pretty confident that my shrimp, because I've had them here in my tanks for a couple of years now, and they've bred in my waters, that if I give you shrimp like I did with Gary, you're going to put them in your tank and they're going to survive. No matter what you do, whether you acclimate them this way or cycle your tank that way, or you have this kind of filtration or this kind of, I believe they're going to do fine, much better than you ordering from somebody who imports shrimp. I'm not saying imports are bad, but we know from experience, especially in the shrimp hobby, that importing shrimp does cause a lot of stress on the shrimp. And that stress is what brings out the diseases. I believe more and more that we're seeing shrimp bred here locally, domestically, that we are going to see a stronger line. We're going to see more stable shrimp. They're not going to just die because they're so stressed out from going from an aquarium to a big giant bag to a box on an airplane through different airports. Then they go to customs, and then somebody gets them and puts them in their tanks and then starts selling them. That's a lot of stress on the shrimps. So I think when you reduce the amount of times that they're being moved, like here, if you order my shrimp, then I put them in a bag, I ship them to you, and they go from my tank basically to your tank with just the shipping process in between. That's a lot less stressful than the other way around. So I think that's why we're starting to see a lot more stability. I don't think people are having as many problems, and maybe they are, because again, I think a lot of it goes back to chasing parameters. Yeah, kind of like guppies have gotten weak because we've bred them so much. And, that's what I loved about guppies when I was a kid. And that's, basically, I wanted to start a guppy farm. That was my original aquatic, goal, was to have a guppy farm. But I did start having problems when I started getting into the fancy high-end guppies. And then I saw a video that Corey did maybe back in 2018. And he was talking about how, because guppies have been bred so much, that they've gotten weaker than they used to be. So now you have to go through somewhat of an acclimation process. You have to do more than just like what I used to do back in the day, is grab a bag of guppies and just throw them in my aquarium. Easy. I mean, yes, float the bag first, but then toss them in the aquarium and they're going to be fine. That's not the case so much anymore. But I think in the shrimp hobby, with the shrimp that we have here domestically, it's kind of improving all of that. So less shipment, less stress, less diseases. So all in all, that's kind of why I feel so confident. Just like giving, I'm going to mess up her name, Alishon, I think, but she was at Aquashella and I gave her the guppies. I mean, thanks, Gary. I gave her the shrimp and she messaged me and said they're doing great with her neos. And I told her, I'm confident that you put them in with your neos, they're going to do just fine because they're my shrimp and I knew they were going from my tank basically to her tank. And I think that's what's improving in the hobby with the shrimp, is that we're not, yes, there's still a lot of importing going on, because we need some of those genetics. And if I ever get imported shrimp that I know, like if I buy shrimp, I normally 95% of the time I'm buying my shrimp from buypetshrimp.com from Eric Lucas. Why? Because he's affiliated with Vin, and Vin's a master breeder. His shrimp are amazing. So if I buy shrimp, I'm going to go through Eric. Now, sometimes I'll buy what they call a pre-sale, where it's pretty much coming straight from Vin. He bags them up per the orders and then sends them to Eric, and then Eric will send them to me. And those, yes, I'll do a little bit of a acclimation process. I won't necessarily put them in a tank with my shrimp. I will put them in a tank by themselves. After several months, then I'll start putting them together. But I want to get the shrimp that I get from overseas to adjust, acclimate to my tank, my water, my temperatures, my way of doing things. And if they survive, then I'll see if I can get them to thrive. But you see how I worked that in there? Pretty slick, huh? My fancies are much stronger, as they're like 10 plus generations in my water. The imports are also raised with so many antibiotics continuously that when they get to a normal tank, they just fade. Yes, I agree. And that's the thing, is that if you go and you look at some of the stuff, like especially for shrimpers, you go look at the stuff that they recommend that you use, use this bacteria powder, use this ash, use this, and put it in, and then 6 months later, it'll grow green walls and a thick layer of biofilm over everything, so that way you can put your shrimp. Well, if the shrimp are raised that way, then yes, you have to do something. And since, like, I know a lot of my tanks don't have what most would consider the appropriate amount of biofilm, or they don't have the green walls, or whatever the case may be. But it doesn't make very much of a difference, because I still provide what I feel works for me. But it's just for me. And that's one of the big things that I always try to tell people. What I do is what works for me. And I hope that whatever you do is what's working for you. Maybe there may be some, hey, I like that idea, let me try it and see if it works for me. And that's beautiful. I love that concept. I also do like having well-respected breeders contacting me and asking me about this method. It gives me a little bit of confidence that the more and more I'm seeing people at least look at it and go, huh, that's a pretty cool idea. And they start asking me questions. That makes me feel like I'm doing something right. But the biggest thing that makes me feel like I'm doing something right is the fact that my shrimp are thriving. So that's the whole point of this type of conversation. Again, my killifish, yeah, they're surviving, but they're not thriving. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you. Take this. Close up. So there's my killifish. Whee! How do we do this? This is hard to do. This is just one tank. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tanks with killifish. These are mostly males. So yeah, it's hard to tell if they're thriving or surviving because it's just males. But they survive well. In my other tanks that I have with killifish that I've been trying to breed them, I'm still seeing fry, but I'm not seeing them survive. That was a real big issue when I first started doing killifish, clown killifish breeding. Was that as the babies were being born, I figured, well, I don't want them to get eaten, so I'm going to put them in a breeder box on the same tank using the same water, and I'm going to put them in there, and they should be fine. It did not work, and it blew my mind. Why aren't my fry surviving? They're coming in from this tank right next door, same tank, same temperatures, everything, but they're not surviving. And I've tried it many different ways, and that's when I decided I'm just going to leave it alone. Keep it shrimpable, hands off, let nature do its thing. And then I started having some success. And then as I started separating and culling and trying to get some breeding pairs going, they started popping out everywhere. So it was really thriving. Right now, because I have lost focus on my killifish, I believe they're just surviving. Nothing wrong with it. They still look beautiful. They look healthy, but I'd rather they be thriving, and I'd rather be pulling out a bunch of little fry at some point. So I got to get back to that, and I'm working on it. When it comes to my mosses and my plants and stuff, that's one of these things. Here, I'm going to show you this tank. I'm going to tell you a little story. It's kind of cool. So this tank, all right, it started off with just a couple of little fronds of this moss, and now it is just packed full. Now, I had several bunches of this moss in most of my tanks. I took most of it out except for this tank and put it in a tub outside. That tub is full. I mean, it's a 27-gallon tub, one of those, totes you buy at Home Depot, the black tubs with the yellow tops, 27-gallon. And it looks like it's just full of that moss. It looks pretty outside, very, very pretty outside. But today, let me show you. So when it comes to this moss in particular, whatever I'm doing, it's thriving. It's thriving like crazy. So much so I had to take it out of my aquariums because too many dead zones in my aquariums with too much moss. And I put it in the tub outside. This was on Monday when I put the tubs outside. And I used aquarium water from Water Changes to put some water in one of the tubs. And then I took these big balls of the moss and I threw it in there. Well, then it rained and filled up the tubs a little bit more. It rained again Wednesday night and Tuesday night. It was just dumping water on us. Not so much last night, but a lot of water came in, enough to where the 27-gallon tub that I didn't put any water in has about 8 inches of water in it. Now, that's how much water fell in those past couple of days. But today, I was messing around with the moss tub, because it looks so pretty in the sunlight, and it's like bloomed like crazy. So I started moving it around because I like to rotate the mosses and let all of it get equal sunlight, blah, blah, blah. I was doing it and I noticed, holy cow, there's a Caridina shrimp in there. And it makes sense because one of the tanks right here that I pulled the moss out of, there was so much moss in this tank, and I was noticing that my shrimp were dying off. And due to dead zones, because that can happen. There's so much moss packed in there that the water flow isn't getting in there. It creates a dead zone. Well, I was worried about the dead zones. I tried to get every shrimp that I could out that had survived. And lo and behold, in this tub today, when I was messing with it and rotating the moss, I saw a little shrimp in there, and I'm like, holy cow. I did nothing. I didn't acclimate. I didn't go and matter of fact, it rained. maybe that helped. Maybe it helped soften the water, make it more natural. I don't know. But lo and behold, there's shrimp in there. Let's see if I can get that close enough to focus. Don't focus on me. It won't. But anyways, that's a golden, kind of like a golden tiger, a golden galaxy. It's gold or yellow with white stripes. Pretty awesome looking. So these came from my black galaxies. All of my golden shrimp, all of my blue steels, they all came from my black galaxy shrimp. And so I talked to Eric Lucas from bypetshrimp.com at Aquashella, and I was telling him, I was like, man, it just blows my mind that yellow shrimp come from the black galaxies. And he was saying that back in the day, master breeders overseas would cull them. You know, they were throwaway shrimp until they gained popularity. So now it's becoming more and more of a thing to where they're breeding intentionally the golden shrimp. Yeah, it's not like Vin has won any awards or anything. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Vin is the man. You know, there are several others that are up there. And I'm sure that over there, it's very competitive as far as who's got the best, you know, but I really like Vin's shrimp. I like how he takes care of them, and I trust them. I've been using them for years and years now. So, yeah, but this is interesting. And the reason why I didn't just throw this in the aquarium is because the water outside is probably, I didn't take a temperature, but it's probably in the mid 70s, maybe 80s, because the sun's directly on it and it's a black tub. So it's pretty warm. So what I did was I put the shrimp in here, and I'm leaving it in this container on the tank that it's going to go in. And I'm just going to probably wait till tomorrow before I take the shrimp out and put them in the tank, because I want the temperature. I'm not going to drip acclimate or any of that to get it done in a couple of hours. No, I'm just going to leave it sitting for 24 hours. He'll be fine in this. And then I will pull him out and put him in the tank. Seven Nation Army. Yeah, well, you know, I was a huge fan of White Stripes when they came out with the original album. I don't know what it's called. It might just be White Stripes. But the Dirty Ground, I Think I Smell a Rat, We Need a Bigger Room. A lot of the songs from that album, I think, are just genius. They're awesome. They're simple but effective. Two people, awesome. I loved it. I think Seven Nation Army, I like it, but it's probably one of the more popular songs that, because it became so popular, I don't like it as much. Not that I don't like it. I do like the song. I like the other stuff when it was more raw and more feedback, and you could hear the scratchiness of the pit going across the strings. Hey, but that's the musician side of me. You know, not like I've been a musician for my whole life or anything. That's a whole different topic. And I don't know if any of you ever get a chance, go check out my other channel. It's How I Roll, but spelled RRLL. If you're a drummer, you understand the joke, because that's how you roll. Double stroke, right, left, right, left. So that's a little inside drummer humor. So part two of this whole thing is that I'm not going to probably talk too much longer, but because I enjoy playing online poker, and there's a online tournament thing, festival, whatever you want to call it, going on right now with daily tournaments. And today at, I believe, 2:15, the free roll tournament starts, and I want to win a ticket to the $1 million tournament, which my son already won a ticket. Go figure. But so now I feel like the poker loser compared to my son. So I got to get on it and win myself a ticket too. Because I used to tell him stories about how I used to be online poker, and I was pretty good. I came one hand away from going to the World Poker Tour, the World Series of Poker. I lost that hand. I went all in. I thought I had it, and I lost. That was sad. I have submitted videos back in the day, 2007-ish, 8-ish. They were doing auditions for the Poker Stars at night, and I had won my way into the auditioning level. So I made a video. I had a link for myself that for people to vote for me. So I've done a lot of things in online poker. Just I put it away and stopped doing it for a really long time, and now kind of getting into it again. It's fun. I play online team trivia and, of course, fishy bingo. It's nice to have little fun things to do. What I think is really cool is that because it has become almost a father-son activity when we're both sitting down on the computers playing our poker, trying to do stuff. We're both interested in going out and, doing some actual, going to a poker room and playing in some of these tournaments. I mean, we have the casinos right up the street, not up the street, but WinStar and Choctaw. We have to go to, another state. Texas doesn't allow that stuff, but they have some cool stuff up there. They do a lot of big tournaments. I'd like to do that. And I'd love to someday go to the World Series of Poker. That would be awesome. That's one of my bucket list things. I'd rather win my way in than pay whatever, $12,000 for a seat. But anyways, that's life. And so that's what I'm going to be doing here in a little bit. And of course, I'm always working on my tanks in between. So if you have any questions, post them here. Hit me up through email. My email is up at the top, papashrimpaquatics@gmail.com. Whatever. I love nerding out and talking aquariums, talking fish, talking plants, whatever. So feel free to hit me up because I like nerding out. And I miss talking to everybody. So that's it for now. I hope everybody has a wonderful Friday. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for dealing with everything yesterday. And I'm sorry about all the mess up, but have a wonderful Friday. And to all the fathers out there, have a blessed and wonderful, happy Father's Day. Peace out. I love shrimp, and we'll see you next time. I'm going to play the video at the end just to cap it off with the video. Peace.